What's up, Ultra Buddies? Huge news. The quad rare effects revealed for Glitter Tiga and Shiny Ultimate Zero. So we're going to go over that. There's a bit of dev notes and a potential watch list going on. So we'll talk about all of it. Hey, what's up? It's Future Durian. I forgot, we just hit 300 subscribers. Yay! Thank you so much for supporting Donkun and I with our little YouTube adventure, trying to share our love of Ultraman card game with all of you. We're doing a little giveaway as thank you. We have an Omega to the Future start deck for one lucky winner and two Rising start decks for another lucky winner. So to enter in to win one of these, just put a comment down below. Let us know if you've enjoyed the channel, what your favorite Ultraman is, or what your favorite video or kind of video that you like from us, or maybe a video that you want to see from us. So thank you again for the support. Enter in for your friends. Tell your friends to pop in and enter in. Maybe get some more Ultraman action in. And we really appreciate the support. Enjoy the rest of us talking about Quad Rare. Let's dive in. I think we just gotta read the effects first, right?
Yeah, let's just go into the.
We just gotta read the effects first. There's no thing. So, Glitter Tiga. This card has so much going to do. Level 4, basic type. No single power, double power 12,000, triple power 17,000, quad power 20,000. In a quad only effect, when this card enters play, you can put the top card of your level 2 or 3 Tiga that is double or triple into its owner's hands. If you do, put one Tiga from your discard area with the same level into play in that card's place. And then there's a little spoiler text right next to the Ultra Hero that says this card cannot enter play as a single and cannot become a single. So no singles for the level 4s, humongous 20k power, and this one is a pretty hard setup, I think, but pretty strong skill. So let's get your thoughts on it. Since I've been
I think quadruples as a whole will be a harder setup. That's a lot more cards you're investing into a single lane. But if you hit those stalemates where both lanes have like 17 or 18k, we'll definitely talk more about that fourth level up. But the effect itself is really cool because Tiga Blazar, Tiga Nexus usually wants to build that triple anyways. So it's not as difficult, I think, compared to the other character we'll look at to get to a quadruple.
Right.
And the effect is really interesting because assuming you have some cards in discard from Scene Effect or some other decks, you can take one of your 2/3s and put them in your hand. But I think more importantly, one of the 2 or 3s you get from your discard, you get another on-play effect. Like if it's a Scene Search, you pull out, or like the uncommon level 3 Tiga, or if you have another triple, you can do the lane switching. And you get a card back in your hand, so it kind of pays for itself, which I think is really important when it comes to quadruple rares.
Yeah, that's very true. Being able to kind of replace itself as you have to build up to a quad matters a lot. This is basically like a Legend of the Stone for free, like from the discard, right? But it's so much more versatile.
2s. I think that's also important.
Yeah, working on level 2 is actually really a big deal, right? Because you can use it on a 1/2, you can use it on a 2/3, or you can use it on a triple. And sorry, if you don't have one of those going, you might be in for a bad time. And I didn't even I only just now considered kind of the possibilities of replaying like an effect like a Scene Search from discard, because I've been thinking about mostly like level 3s, like if you have a triple, you can swap into Tiga, Zephyrion Beam, swap things around. That's like probably a game-winning turn. Maybe you can swap into a BP grade minus or something.
Another great one is we don't have a Mebi Hikari meta anymore, but imagine you were playing against a 2/3 Hikari that's like a 11k, right?
Yeah.
You could switch out a Scene Search 1/2 to the 12k Tiga, and you just win that lane. You don't have to invest anymore. You just get exactly what you need.
Yeah, that's very true. You can swap these kind of like tide lanes into. I didn't think about that. Yeah, just these like small little things. I think one of the funny things that you mentioned is if you set up the turn properly, like if you have the full gambit, you can play this plus a power type Tiga, and then get a minus 1000 BP, and then Glitter Tiga, another power type in to get another minus 1000 BP, and then Legend of Stone again to get another minus 1000 BP for like a pretty silly combo play. I love that. But yeah, I think this is gonna be pretty big. I think just because, like you said, replacing itself, it's gonna be really important because it's a quad, but also it's gonna enable a lot of shenanigans, whether it's getting cards back to your hand, whether it's flipping some weird ties, or like setting up some crazy combo play. So very excited for Glitter Tiga. And I think you're also very excited because one of your mainstay decks has been Tiga Blazar. And we got to talk about Blazar when it comes to level 4s, right? Being able to take the level 4 off the top, just having more stuff to do when you've already maxed out your lanes is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if we get a Blazar quadruple rare too, it would be crazy. Just because some games with the Tiga Blazar, you'll end up in a situation where you might have a 1-2 that you've set up to level up, but otherwise, it's not always that you have like a 1-2 Blazar and a 1-2 Tiga to level up. So
yeah,
you just have lanes that you're just missing. But having this is an option. Worst case, you get the level 3 you need to win the game, or you hit this. Also, more effects, get you a free card, win the game.
And one thing that is pretty important to note too is that I wouldn't say a lot of times, but sometimes in Tiga Blazar, you are forced into a position where you might need to play a 2-3 double to get the lead, but then that lane's kind of stuck and useless later, and you can't get power out of that lane. The level 4s can come in, make a 2-3-4 triple, set 17,000 power, and kind of fix that for you. And also, not just fix it for you, but can be another way to make some lane power surprises off the Blazar scene.
Yes. Anything else on Glitter Tiga? Because I think this might be a good segue into the other.
Speaking of 2-3s, 2-3s and decks like that play 2-3s, let's move on to Shining Ultraman Zero. I think you can read this one off.
Yeah. So this one is when you do have it as a quadruple lane on play, you can give another 0 BP grade increase of 1 for the turn.
Yeah, much less text than the Glitter Tiga. Gave him a lot of room to really pose like that, right? And this one, I think the key for Ultra Shining Zero or whatever is the 2-3, being able to play a 2-3 and then also having that boom on top of it. Being able to fix that lane later, I think, is actually a really important part of why Shining Zero will be good. I think because I played a little bit more Zero than you, but you've seen, like, you don't build a lot of triples in Zero, so you're probably not getting to this like quadruple effect that often. But being able to play, like for example, there's the BP01 Zero that you play it as a double, a 2-3 double, and it gives plus 2,000 to another Zero. That's a great way to like try to go for game. If it doesn't work out, that guy's stuck there at those 12,000. Not exactly the most threatening, but your opponent now has to worry about it. With Shining Zero, can come down at any moment and make that lane into a 17.
Yeah, so I think this is where the effect itself, I feel like, is a little underwhelming just because it's not as easy to set up to a Zero triple, or quadruple. If you hit it, it's great. You can use this to have some really strong like turn 3, turn 4 plays where you just pump up everything to 17, 18k. But I do agree with you that more important than I think its effect, its presence as a quadruple rare, even if this was like a vanilla, if you want to call it that, quadruple, having access to level 4s, I think changes a lot for how a deck can play.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Just something that came up in my mind while we were chatting about this is, I think there's already kind of a strategy in Ultraman card game where you sacrifice lanes to, have more power for the other lanes and fight better in those other lanes. I think with quadruples coming into play, those sacrifice type plays is going to be even more important or even more powerful if your opponent's like you know, sacrifice one lane and get a scene out of it with a scene searcher, and then your opponent's, you know, really incentivized to build that all the way up to a quadruple to get their main game plan off. That's 3 cards they've played four cards they've played to your 1 card, which is like even bigger gap than doing a sacrifice lane on a triple. So another little thing to keep in mind. But back to Shining Zero, I do agree for the most part. Being able to threaten another level up on top of the 2/3 doubles is probably where this card's going to be the most annoying for people. But I also think it's a very, very strong follow-up to an Ultimate Zero, where you might be going for a Ultimate Zero play on turn 3 or something like that, really changing an arm type, bumping a type in the adjacent lane, and then putting a lot of pressure on the opponent. So like, you know, they have to be scared that that's going to happen. Maybe committing a little bit, and then this zero can come out the next turn and bump a little bit more flexibly. Because one thing I've noticed, and this is probably less frequent in the current meta that doesn't have Mebius, but a lot of times I wouldn't need necessarily the opponent's type to be flipped to armed, because I would have already matched up with one armed type, or in the lane that I needed the armed type in. So like, for example, if you have 3 lanes and the 3rd lane is matched up with an armed or power type, it's a 0 type slugger, then that you can't use Ultimate Zero to BP level up that one, because it's not adjacent and the armed type bump is already there, so it doesn't really like affect things. So sometimes you miss out on like getting the full power of the Ultimate Zero, and then this will kind of like come in after and be really flexible in those spots.
I mean, this is interesting, even where I've seen some Ultimate Zero all-in plays where you just play a single Zero Slugger in turn 3, and then you play it next to like a Ultimate Zero where you BP grade the adjacent one and you make the type armed, and you can play 17k single. But as soon as that turn ends, you've lost a lot of steam. Now it's just back to a single. But if it's not an armed type, you can always have a quadruple level up and bring it back to maybe a respectable 12k.
Yeah, I think one of the scariest plays I can think of with the Shining Zero, before I think we can move on, is a like slow build up to a turn 4. You go to a turn 3, your Ultimate Zero is going to put out some crazy board that's going to be hard to defend, and then turn 4, you can do an Ultimate Zero in the newest lane and the quadruple rare in the first lane, and now you have something that's giving a BP bump over here, and then maybe an armed type to the second lane, and then you're going to get Shining Zero is going to bump the first one. So now you've got a 20 on the first lane and 18 on the fourth lane, and everything else is going to have some sort of power. So that is actually a very scary play to think about for me.
I will say now more than ever, like this trade-off of trying to take lead player and next player is going to be more important, because if you're
for sure
lead player and you do something and then you see Zero just level up every lane like this, versus totally like if you're next player. If you're next player, you might be like, oh, okay, he's going to put 20k here and he's got something crazy here. Okay, how do I win these 2 lanes? And you can try to protect yourself that way.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be very interesting to kind of be next player and then have a quadruple rare, and then your opponent doesn't have the quadruple rare, and you're like, okay, this hopefully should be pretty easy. That is like one of the biggest concerns that we had going into this, and for now I think they've been pretty medium on the power level of these cards, so hopefully it won't be a whoever gets their quad rare wins the game type of thing, but it definitely could be. So it's just something to be scared about. Like this is like probably too many cards, but for example, for Shining Ultraman Zero, another insane play that just came to my head is if you manage to draw 2 of them, you can go for I don't know 2 of them, but you can go for like we mentioned the 2/3 double into the 2/3/4, and then have an actual Ultra Shining Ultraman Zero bump it bump the other one up to a 20. So then you have two 20s. That's rough. So yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans that can happen with these quads. I'm excited to play with them, and I'm hoping it won't turn into a whoever gets the level 4 Sackfest. So we'll see. It is important to note that there's also 5. So there'll be 5 quadruple rares. So there's going to be 3 more we have to see. But it's also going to be 5 triple rares, which means there's a lot of room for these cards to not be like totally power creeped. And then we can always pray that my boy X just stops level 4s in their tracks. Anyway,
I mean, yeah, if they you can't level it up, so if you see a 0 against or X against 0 and you see their triple lane set up, block it.
Yeah, exactly, block it. So let's move on to some of the dev notes. Talk about some of the questions that I think people have on their minds about level 4s. This is the one, you can search it up. It's under the column and right here regarding quad rare if you would like to read it for yourself. But just the brief thing is an introduction. They basically said BP05 is a kind of thank you set for almost basically year anniversary, first year of Ultraman card game. We did it. We made it to 1 year. And so they added level 4 characters, but they mentioned that level 4 characters are basically, they're going to be exclusive to kind of special release sets like this one, like anniversary sets, or maybe like an Ultraman Day set. That's the only ones I can think of right now. But these kind of special sets is where the quad rares are going to come out. So we are not going to be expecting a new level 4 meta coming forward. And I think that also gives us some insight to why the cards are strong, but not like, I play my level 4, I like 100% win the game. Because we now know that not every deck is going to get a quad rare quickly, if I will say, right? But yeah, and they're going to change things a lot, but not everyone's going to get them quickly. There's kind of be saved for special occasions. So that is a little bit interesting. So we will have to see definitely how they impact gameplay. Like if you don't have a quad rare, can you keep up? That's going to be the big question, at least on my mind.
Yes.
So here they mentioned how to play the cards, basically the same as everything, but they cannot be played as single. And blah, 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 blah. And then they talk about the forms. So a lot of people were wondering what happens about Supreme Version Gaia and Galaxy Armor. These are considered like the final forms, at least my understanding of those, Ultraman Gaia and Ultraman Arc. And they mentioned that don't think of like a level 4 is a specific form or saved for a specific form. They said think of it more of like a climax or a peak moment where like maybe it's a special beam or a special Ultraman. They might do like Ultraman pairs, like Pokemon Buddy. I don't know, the VMAX buddies. Yeah. That could be something that they explore in the future. But level 4s are going to be kind of interchangeable. Think of them more of like a special thing. So like we could get a Galaxy Armor level 4. We could get a Supreme Gaia level 4. That's not off the table just because those cards already exist. So that's exciting news. I think it's good to hear for people who are like, oh man, like Arc already has all his forms. I guess they can't make new Arc cards kind of thing. And then this last conclusion, I'll let you talk about it a little bit. I don't know if you can read it, but basically with Mebius Hikari, they kind of were like, we maybe got to keep an eye on the meta.
Yeah, so this is probably referring to the Bolton deck. Mm-hmm. I mean, usage rate is very high in Japan. It's very interesting to see because there's like a different accessibility to this one. Like Mebius Hikari, very accessible, easy, cheap to buy deck. This one, you need 50 of the same card. Some of them not as accessible as others.
Yeah.
And I think it has an alarming win rate compared to other decks. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's glad to know that they're monitoring the situation. Now, the question is, like, what criteria are they looking at before a deck is like, okay, this deck needs to be stopped versus like, it's strong, but maybe the developers feel like it's not strong enough. Like, there's a lot of variables they're probably looking at. So how they respond, we'll have to see. But at least they put a statement that they are keeping an eye on the situation.
Yeah, which is really great. So yeah, I would not like to have a maybe Sicario was a little bit of a different situation because it was so easy, especially for Japan to get. And Baltan's a little bit harder to get, so I think that people are a little more salty about it compared to Mebius. So I hope they keep an eye on it and take it down if they think it's a little too much, which I have the feeling they might think so. Especially because Japan's in the qualifier season right now, right?
Yes. Also, I'll say Baltan mirror matches are going to probably be way less fun than like maybe Sicario mirror matches. There are some things you could try and play around and do. This one is only have 4 cards to pick from.
yeah. You only have 4 cards to pick from, and most likely you only have 2 cards to pick from. So there's not a lot of kind of strategy you can start to employ in those matches.
Yeah.
So that is it for our news. Thanks for watching, and I think BPO5 they started today, so
yes,
we will get back on our reveal recap type videos once a week. So look forward to those, and we'll see you around. Bye.
Thank you.